Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Vicki Janowski, editor of the Greater Wilmington Business Journal, and welcome to this week's installment of Wilmington Biz Talk. Today, we're talking about the concept of the blue economy and what that might mean for coastal North Carolina. Joining us is Diane Durance, who until just recently was the director of UNCW's Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and also Glenn Anderson, who has played a role in the group that's formed around this idea. We're going to talk with both of them a little bit about what blue economy means and what the work is that they're doing on it. But before we jump into the discussion, we're going to hear a quick word from our sponsors, Cape Fear Realtors.
Hello, I'm Ann Gardner, CEO of Cape Fear Realtors. Realtors support this program's efforts to connect our community in meaningful dialogue with actionable insights. Realtors are dedicated professionals who build strong, resilient communities and businesses. Work with someone you can trust. Work with a realtor. Learn more at capefear.realtor.
Hi, everybody. Today we are talking about the blue economy on this week's Biz Talk. You may have heard of the green economy, and obviously that has to deal with eco and green-friendly environmental technologies and business development. Well, do you know what blue economy means? To talk about it a little bit today and what it might mean for a local initiative that's been worked on, we have two guests who are joining us. Diane Durance, who, like I mentioned a minute ago, had been the UNCW CIE, but is now off in Michigan, where it might be drier, but I'm sure colder than right here at home. And also Glenn Anderson. He is board chair and founding member of Cape Fear Ocean Labs, and also has been a lead in one of the 5 sectors that this group locally is working on with the blue economy. So today we're going to dive into a little bit about that, no pun intended, but to find out, what does this concept mean? How did this group come together? And what are their plans when it comes to what it could be for our area's economy and research efforts? So one reason we wanted to do the talk this week, and bear with me, I'm going to share my screen for just a minute here. The latest issue of the Wilmington Biz magazine is out. And if you're a subscriber, you probably have already seen it in your mailboxes or should be seeing it any day now. And this is our cover story, Banking on Blue. Look at this initiative to help lure more jobs and businesses that rely on the ocean to our area. And in it, our assistant editor, CC Nunn, talked with several people who've been working on this initiative, as well as several businesses that tie into the type of sectors that they are looking to attract and grow more of. So with that, let's start off broadly with you, Diane, and just take a minute to explain to us, what is this concept of blue economy and where did it come from?
Well, the term is kind of widely used now to describe all those companies and activities that involve the coastal and ocean environment. And for us, that really means we have a lot going on in our region as far as the blue economy, because it extends from the technical fields like marine biotechnology or marine robotics, all the way to the things that we think of as our personal enjoyment of the ocean and beaches, things like recreation and recreational fishing, the sports that involve the water, the sailing, the boating, all of those types of things. So it's really a range of activities, but you can kind of picture the different businesses that are involved in various aspects of these types of activities and research and new innovations. And for us at the CIE, when we looked at the center and what our strategic plan was, we really looked at areas where there were a lot of strengths on campus and then also a lot of interest in the community. And one of those that really stood out and was probably the largest field was everything related to marine science and environmental science. And so we started looking for early stage companies that we could help nurture. And one of the ways we did that was by getting very involved with Fish 2.0, which is a program that connects early stage, innovative, sustainable ventures in aquaculture and in seafood with investors around the world. So that was a way for us to start really generating some interest from the entrepreneurs in how they might pursue ventures in those areas.
And let's talk a little bit about this group that has formed, I guess, in recent months or even recent years. When I first saw how many people were involved in the initiative and the group that's called the Alliance for the Blue Economy, or All Blue, I was a little surprised at the size and scope of it. I didn't realize so many people have been involved. I feel like this is has been your pandemic project, just working on in the background, like instead of redoing your kitchen, you put together an economic initiative. So Glenn, you have been involved in that group. Can you tell us a little bit about what your involvement is with it and what the Alliance does? What does it work on?
Okay, well, where it started was about 3 years ago, and I came into town. I'm one of those horrible people that might move to Wilmington. And Diane and I met for coffee, and Diane has a unique talent of talking you into things. And it turned out we have exactly the same interest in terms of the blue economy, and we were very much aligned in what we saw it to be. And the blue economy, as Diane said, there's sort of some broad definitions. There's blue economy, and the way we define it is everything from the tide line to the deep sea. Everything that's commercial, scientific, cultural, all of that is blue economy, and it also includes tourism. And then there's one definition down, what's called the blue commercial economy, which includes all the same things except less tourism, because tourism is such a large piece of everything, that's in a coastal community. And then where I fit in, and Cape Fear Ocean Labs fits in, we're about the blue tech economy. We're about the tooling, the assets and resources you need to build businesses, to help on entrepreneurs. Our focus, like I said, is tooling in terms of ocean engineering, marine robotics, data analytics, all the guts of making a business work on the water. And what we decided to do, Diane said, I'm doing this, and I said, I want to do that. And as all good entrepreneurs know, coffee is the spring well of good ideas. And so we partnered up, and in that process, the Alliance for the Blue Economy was formed. Cape Fear Ocean Labs was a spin out of that, because we are more of a quasi-commercial operation, even though we're nonprofit. And we wanted to make sure we had the latitude to attract funding and people on, professional terms versus a volunteer effort and things like that. And we've been, it's been amazing to us, how many people we found in Wilmington that have exactly the right background we need and have been looking for something like this. And then how many people outside of Wilmington in the big world are really interested in participating in a place where there is sort of a clean platform. There are other places that are blue tech clusters, but people want to get in on sort of the ground level, and that's what we've offered them. In response, it has surprised us. So that's how we sort of got it all started.
Yes, and Glenn was very focused on the blue tech space, which I think has incredible potential in our region, because we don't have a lot of infrastructure now to build companies in marine robotics. We don't have a lot of strength in the marine engineering here in Wilmington. So we want to develop that, and it has great potential. There's a lot of interest at the federal level in the infrastructure package and so forth that will really come into play in blue tech. But that was only one of the sectors that we discovered that people were interested in. And so we ended up very rapidly, after we first convened a group of interested parties, we realized that people had real different interests and perspectives on the blue economy. And so Glenn's group with Cape Fear Ocean Labs really focused on that marine engineering and robotics and analytics. Then we had a group that was really interested in marine biotech. including the North Carolina Biotechnology Center and our Marbionic building at UNCW, where we're really looking at how can we develop talent and ventures that are focused on the marine natural products, things that could be derived from the ocean that could be used in animal feed or pharmaceuticals, cosmetics even. So there are a lot of uses for that, and people are interested in that. And then there was another group that was really focused on aquaculture and sustainable fisheries, particularly in our area, the oyster aquaculture, and growing more shellfish. So that was a big area of interest. And of course, coastal resilience has come up as a huge topic, especially since Hurricane Florence, where we're looking at how can we build infrastructure that will be more ready for these storms? How can we work on things like water quality, erosion, flooding, what types of activities can we undertake to make our community more resilient? And then the final group was the fun group, the recreation, hospitality, and tourism, which is kind of endless, but our focus is really on regenerative tourism and sustainable tourism. How do you do things and build things that can provide this kind of entertainment value, food, things like oyster farming, but make it sustainable so that it doesn't do damage to our natural assets that we have here, which are so important to us.
Well, one of the best things that Wilmington has going for it is everybody talks about their competitive advantage and who you want to be when you grow up. Wilmington, just by geography and institutions, is genuinely uniquely positioned on the East Coast to be a blue Silicon Valley. Now that's boutique. Wilmington is never going to be Silicon Valley, but it has an extraordinarily strong opportunity to be a blue Silicon Valley type of economic environment. On the East Coast today, there are only two places, Boston and Miami, that really have strong blue tech clusters. And as it would turn out, Wilmington is almost dead square in the middle between the two on the East Coast. It has a large coastal plain. It has the Pimlico Estuary, the second largest in the continental United States for the marine sciences kind of issues. It has access to deep sea and the Gulf Stream. It has access to Bermuda. It has a regional university, a community college, the port. It's 1 hour flight time from DC because, as Diane mentioned earlier, blue economy funding, whether it's blue tech or the other elements, is one of the top 3 funding priorities of most federal government agencies now. It's sort of like there's a tsunami of priority money. Some of it's national security, some of it's economic security, some of it is climate change response. But Wilmington is in the right place at the right time, and it provides the platform for all the best practices to come together in one place. And there are people here that want to do it, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I started receiving guests like Glenn that were showing up at the CIE and saying they had an interest in the blue economy or some aspect of the blue economy. And it was really a number of them that kind of came up at the same time, and many were looking at moving to Wilmington or had just recently moved to Wilmington and were raising their hands and saying, I'd like to do something in this space. How can I help? And so that's what led us to these 5 different sectors, and we ended up doing strategy sessions for each of the sectors and had about 20 people involved in each of them to develop ideas and a path forward where we could move each of these toward developing more startup businesses, maybe attracting more professionals or businesses. The university right now is engaged in establishing a PhD in applied coastal and ocean science that will include an element of entrepreneurship in it. So it's, although it's a research degree program, it's also embedding the concept that research could lead to new innovations that we could take to market. So there's really a lot of thinking and action going on in all the different sectors, and we're still inviting more people to get involved and engaged as we move this forward.
Okay, so now that we have a sense of what defines blue economy and the types of companies, that wide variety of companies and research that can be involved in it, and you guys have filled us in on those 5 sectors that the group has decided to focus on, what happens next? Like, what are some specific examples of what could come out of this that, especially in terms of affecting economic growth?
Well, I have a couple examples right off the top of my head. One is we did receive a grant from NOAA in conjunction with Sea Grant to develop farm market tools for our shellfish aquaculture producers. So that's one thing that has come out of this. And we're just at the very beginning of that grant, but we'll be developing really a business accelerator incubator for shellfish growers, so that they can really find ways to not just learn how to grow the oysters or clams, but they will know how to build a business around that, how to distribute their product and so forth. So that is one example. Another example is we received a grant from NC IDEA to bring engineering students from A&T to Wilmington to work with our students, specifically our business students. And we're in the 2nd year of that grant. And what we've been able to accomplish is being selected to be part of the Marine Energy Collegiate Competition. Our team of students are among 17 around all of North America that were selected for this program that's supported by the Department of Energy. So our students are working with the engineering students to develop new concepts for ocean energy. And we're hoping that the outcome will be some great ideas that could be built into businesses by these students. And then also just we're hoping that we'll attract more engineering talent to our region as these students become aware of the opportunities in the marine environment.
One of the things that Cape Fear Ocean Labs is going to focus on, our primary sort of core element, is a blue specific makerspace, going back to that tooling concept where it's structural, mechanical, electronics, materials engineering. There's videography and test range data. And the facility, all blue tech hubs, have a blue tech makerspace facility that congregates all the different elements that is required to build these robotic devices and support facilities and devices for that. And we're looking at the actual manufacturer of these devices here, the creation, development, and light manufacturing, advanced manufacturing of them. The second is there will be a leasing business for the various commercial, government, and academic uses for the applications in science. And then an offshore test range where if you build it, you can go see if it flows and works. And this includes submerged vehicles, surface vehicles, aerial vehicles, and orbital as well. And our focus is to provide the workshop, the bench, where creative folks, the entrepreneurs, existing people, hobbyists can come and use the equipment that's available to express literally their ideas. And in addition to that, there are a number of federal agencies for grants and contracts where those defense contractors need facilities to honor their government contracts. The military is looking for surge capacity and reshoring of a lot of their advanced naval devices. Offshore wind, which is going to be coming to North Carolina, has a deep innovation sort of pool with it, and to focus on that to provide support services as that industry evolves. And those jobs, I mean, you're talking more jobs than most people are used to talking about. You're talking when that actually gets started, probably 1,000 new jobs. And that's a long-term growth curve that's permanent. So, and we're going to take a look at that. We have a small role in that, but we have the technology role with that. So that's what we're looking at.
So with all these examples of potential and potential areas that it could grow in or focus could grow in, I wonder what is going to keep this initiative, or when you look at the alliance overall, what keeps it moving forward or not becoming maybe another economic development initiative or focus, or a report that gets shelved and falls by the wayside? What do you think will make this sustainable?
Well, one thing we're doing is really making a public launch of this initiative and making it highly visible in the community through what we're calling All Blue Week, the first week in November, where we're engaging with a lot of the other organizations and nonprofits that are involved in the blue economy in some way. And we're hosting just a constellation of different events and activities, panel discussions, keynotes, and really the whole idea behind All Blue Week is to make this work and this range of activities visible in our community. And that will help us continue the momentum and engage more individuals that are interested in participating and contributing to the activities. So we have a whole strategic plan around how to take the momentum coming out of All Blue Week and continuing to move this initiative forward in the 5 sectors, and then also collectively where we have where we work together. All the sectors share the same marketing communications team and research team, so that we can all coordinate our efforts, but then let people really focus on the areas that are of most interest to them.
And no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to wrap up. So go ahead and add your point there, Glenn.
Well, I was just going to say, it's a process of education. None of us, I mean, our focus is to be a blue specific educator around the value and the benefits of this. And it takes a little time, but the potential is just such a high value proposition. I agree. We don't want to see our work dusty on the shelf. And we're just stubborn enough to show up twice.
All right, I was gonna wrap up by asking Diane, you're saying we a lot in our, and I'm curious, I mentioned that you were with CIE and currently you are now in Michigan as the Executive Vice President of Michigan Capital Network. So are you still going to continue to have a role in this initiative from afar, or are you passing off the baton?
I am still involved. I'm serving as the director of All Blue Week right now to just kind of keep the cats herded as we put together all these programs. But then I intend to stay involved as a committee member in at least one of the sectors and maybe several of them. But leadership will be handed over to the next person that steps up and can take this forward. We're already getting a lot of support from the new director of the Center for Marine Science that's incoming on October 1st. Ken Halenich is already on board and saying this needs to be a CIE CMS initiative. So I think there'll be a lot of energy, and the current interim director of the CIE, Heather McWhorter, it has a passion for sustainability and environmental science. So it's in the right place to really keep this going.
Okay, and I want to thank both of you guys for spending your lunch hour to update us on this project. And if you are watching and want to hear or read about more details, like I mentioned, the new issue of the Wilmington Biz magazine's got some more information and some interviews with people who actually work in those types of sectors that they were talking about today and what it could mean for their business development. So thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back here next Thursday, same time, and want to let you know if you want to catch up on any of our previous talks with our other guests, you can go to WilmingtonBizTalk.com, or you can check us out on your favorite podcast streaming platform. So thanks everybody and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you, Vicki.